The Town of Marana is dedicated to providing 5-star service for all residents, both 2- and 4-legged. Download the Marana Pets app to report a lost pet or upload a photo of a found pet. Start reuniting families today.
Enjoy live music in Marana every third Thursday in the fall and spring at the beautiful Marana Municipal Complex Courtyard from 5 to 7 p.m. With theme nights, food trucks, and attractions, this free concert truly is a family-friendly experience. Visit maranaaz.gov/events for the complete schedule.
Welcome to Real Talk with the Town, where I sit down with the Marana staff to answer your burning questions about our beautiful community. My name is Terry Rozema, and I'm the town manager for the town, so let's get started. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Real Talk with the Town. My name is Terry Rozema, and I'm the town manager for the Town of Marana, and I am your host. And today I have a couple of really special guests. Couple of guys who are not only in the public safety realm that I worked in for a long time, but good friends. And so if we can go ahead and get our fire chief guest here to introduce ourselves, that would be fantastic.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm Brad Bradley. I'm the fire chief of the Northwest Fire District.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me as well. My name is Randy Carr. I'm the fire chief for the Golden Ranch Fire District.
Outstanding. Now, I noticed something as you guys were both introducing yourself. Brad, you have an excellent, in fact, you should probably be the host of the show. You have an excellent radio voice. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that before.
I've heard that a few times.
Yeah.
Took a public speaking class in college, and it was actually remote.
Mm-hmm.
You had to videotape yourself and audio tape yourself, and had one of the instructors actually reach out and ask me if I've ever had any interest in doing voiceovers or voice work, and so maybe that's my next career after I'm done.
Well, we just learned something about Brad Bradley we all did not know. So if we hear him on SpongeBob or something, we know that he's turned his career to voiceovers. So that was kind of a little icebreaker there with Brad, but let's do an icebreaker here with Randy Carr. Randy, tell us something maybe that people don't know about you.
Well, I can tell you that right now, one of the things that's on my horizon is that I'm going to be retiring in 59 days. March 31st will be my last day after 42 years in the fire service serving Northwest Tucson. I've worked at Golden Ranch for 13 years. Before that, I was at Northwest Fire District for 25. So I had a small stint at Drexel Heights, so I'm looking forward to that new chapter in my life.
That is absolutely fantastic, Randy. We were talking a little bit about that as we were walking into the studio here. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
What a long, wonderful, well-deserved career, and I want to wish you nothing but the best in that.
Thank you so much.
So we have these two gentlemen here today to talk to us a little bit about fire service in Marana, because maybe some people don't know this, I don't know, but the town of Marana doesn't have its own fire services. So we utilize a few different fire districts. I couldn't get them all here in the room, so I invited the two guys I knew the best and the ones that cover the vast majority of our community in Northwest Fire and Golden Ranch. So guys, if you could talk to us a little bit about what a fire district is and how does that work together with the town of Marana?
Terry, that's a great question. Fire districts are, in statute, a political subdivision of the state, and so it's a kind of a quasi-governmental entity that's developed based on a vote of the public. And so Northwest Fire District was founded back in 1984, went operational in 85, and it essentially was 5 members of the community who got together, developed their own governing board, and decided to take over fire service in their community, and since then it's grown. And so with the Northwest Fire District, we provide all hazards response, medical, fire, hazmat, technical rescue, you name it, we'll do it, to about 98% of the town of Marana. The other 2% is shared by Golden Ranch Fire District. Apple Valley Fire District has a small portion, and even Pitcher Rocks Fire District has a very, very small portion. In fact, it's a field for Marana High School. And so With that said, it is a government, much like the town of Marana, of the people, for the people, by the people. And so our funding
Ooh, that sounded
streams-
really patriotic right there, ladies and gentlemen. It made me want to stand up and salute and put my hand over my heart.
So, well, it's super important because
Yeah, absolutely.
the public is they're the reason why we exist.
Absolutely.
And so, we assess the public every 3 years. We've got a community survey out right now. So anybody who's listening, if you've received that community survey, would certainly look for your feedback. That tailors our operations and guides our mindset and our philosophy in terms of servicing our community. And so, whatever interest our public has in the services that they want to see, that's our mission: saving lives, protecting property, and caring for our community. And our public is at the forefront of all of our decision making, and we exist to serve them, just like the town of Marana.
Absolutely. Very good. So you mentioned something there. You said that it has grown since those 5 people decided, hey, we're going to take on fire service in our part of the community.
Right.
It's grown a little bit since then, right?
Just
I would
a
say,
little.
yeah, I'd say that's a vast understatement. So tell me a little bit about the size of Northwest Fire now,
Certainly.
where things stand today.
Yeah, one of the largest fire districts in the state. We've got 11 fire stations. Over the next 3 to 5 years, we'll probably be adding 2 more.
Wow.
Both within the town of Marana. We've got right at 300 employees, operating in capital budgets in the neighborhood of $75 to $76 million a year. So large organization,
Yeah.
growing leaps and bounds. When I joined the organization back in '99, I want to say we had 7.
At that point,
7
Randy had
fire
already
stations.
been in the fire service for like 30 years.
Randy was one of my first captains.
Was he
So
really?
I worked for Randy back.
Oh, look at
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
Look at that.
Yeah,
We're making connections we didn't even know existed until today.
6 or 7 stations at that time, and it's certainly grown since then. I think
So Randy, tell me a little bit. So we've heard here from Northwest Fire about where they service. What areas of Marana do you cover? And then talk a little bit about your organization from a size standpoint, number of stations, et cetera.
Absolutely, Terry. The Golden Ranch Fire District was formed in 1977, and we right now are at 10 stations. We serve about 240 square miles. A lot of it's in Pinal County. But we do serve a large majority of the town of Oro Valley. So we're about 98% in the town of Oro Valley, and Brad's got the other 2%. And we serve the very eastern borders of the town of Marana, the Ina and Thornydale, that northeast quadrant, also the Camino de Mañana area. But what's great about our relationship that we have is that the Northwest Fire District and the Golden Ranch Fire District are in an automatic aid agreement, along with the City of Tucson. But we are a seamless response. Essentially, what we do is the closest, most appropriate unit is responded to the emergency, regardless of the agencee. And so
Tell us why. And I love that. I absolutely love the level of teamwork, the level of, there's not fiefdoms, there's not fighting over territory, there's not, hey, this is our area. It's how we get service out to our people. Tell the listeners why that's so important for them to understand that mutual aid aspect of what you guys do.
And it's really more of an automatic piece of it. And I would say that we really operate on a philosophy of, essentially, it doesn't matter what it says on the back of our shirts. We're going to respond to the emergency in the most appropriate, most rapid way possible and provide those residents, regardless of where they live, with the best care possible. I think that people just want us to be there quickly. They want us to know what we're doing, and they want us to be nice to them. And that's what we, in both organizations, have really kind of agreed to, in the sense that we're not going to play games with emergency response. We're going to get it done. We're going to get it done right. We both have.
They don't know boundaries, and they don't care about where the boundaries are. They don't care what your service area is. They just want to know that when they need you, somebody's going to show up, and the quickest person to get there is what they care about.
And from our perspective, when people call 911, it's not their best day. Usually.
Right.
So when it's not their best day, we just try to get there and make it just a little bit better. And that, I know, is Brad's leadership philosophy as well as mine. And I can tell you that it's worked, just very, very well. And we've been in this agreement for, gosh, Brad, it's been probably 13, 14 years, something like that. So it's been a long-term relationship that has really been beneficial, and the community residents of Marana are really the ones that benefit from it.
So talk to me a little bit about the money aspect of this and how this is all paid for. Because I remember when I bought my first house, I was 24 years old. And these guys came in, they knocked on my door, and they were with the fire department. I'm not going to say which one, but it's neither one of yours, right? So they knocked on my door, and they said, hey, we need you to subscribe to our fire services. And I said, what are you talking about? Man, I came from the Midwest where, man, we didn't have anything like that, fire subscription. And I said, well, I don't want to. And they said, well, if we show up and have to put out the fire at your house, you're going to be without, we're going to have to charge you for that. And I said, well, then charge me. I'll take my chances, right? So, but that's not the way you guys work. You don't have a subscription, and the town of Marana isn't paying you.
Correct.
So describe to me how that works for the residents of our community, how they pay for their fire services.
Certainly. In every fire district, fire districts are primarily funded by a tax assessment on your property value, and it's a rate that's attached to your limited property value. And that's where the majority of the funding comes from. And that governing board, each fire district is managed by a governing board. And each year when they set their budgets, they identify the funding that they need to be able to operate for the following year and set a rate, a tax rate that corresponds to that. That gets reflected in your tax bill, either through your mortgage or a separate bill from the county tax assessor. Organizations like Golder Ranch and Northwest Fire, what we try and do is offset that property tax liability to the greatest degree possible through aggressive seeking of grants. Our organizations, we've got a cooperative grant right now, a regional grant for radios, a couple $1 million worth of radios that we went in cooperatively together, sought a federal grant. If you were to take that $3 million, let's say that grant was $3 million, it's right in the ballpark, and apply that to a tax rate, that's a considerable increase to your tax rate that you'll see reflected in your mortgage. And so we try and offset that as best we can, either through grants, participation in wildland response with the state and federal government, where those are we'll seek reimbursements for that, so it's an additional revenue stream.
Well, I didn't know that, so I'm learning a lot of stuff today here, guys.
Absolutely. So the less pressure we can put on property taxation, the better we can do for our members.
Well, I am confident that the residents of Marana are very appreciative of that.
Absolutely. Very
appreciative of that. So, other things. So, let's talk about what it's like to be a first responder. Now, I was in the police. You guys know this. I was in the police business for 37 years, right? And there's always kind of like this natural, competition or just kind of brotherly love, like older brother, younger brother kind of thing. I don't know who's the older, who's the younger, man, but there's just kind of that rivalry, that kind of thing going on, but a deep love too between the services of fire service and police service. And I remember like going back a ways, my son got into the fire service initially with Northwest Fire, and man, did I hear it from all my fire department friends about my son going into the fire service. But I was pretty quick-witted. Right? And so when they would say, oh, man, your kid go in the fire department, I said, absolutely, man, I encourage him to go in the fire department. Why? Why, they say? Because he wasn't tough enough to be a cop. Oh man. Oh, ouch, right? So we get a lot of that kind of jab stuff going back and forth between fire department and police department. A lot of fun stuff where we do competitions, kickball tournaments, basketball, whatever the case may be. A lot of fun there, and we're always showing up on scenes quite often together, traffic collision scenes, stuff like that. So I certainly know what it feels like to be a first responder, but I'd like to know from you guys. So we're just 40 plus years here. There's Brad, how many years you got in? 27. So we're approaching a century between the three of us here. So tell me a little bit about, from your perspective, what's it like to be a first responder?
I think the most important part is the respect that I think that we have for each other, and I think that even the disciplines, the police discipline and the fire discipline, even though they're vastly different in their missions, the thing that I think is the most prevalent is the respect for one another, because we know that we need each other, and we make sure that we take care of each other. And I know the commitment that we have to supporting our police partners is extremely high. It's a very high priority, and I know that Brad feels the same way. It's a matter of serving the public, Terry. It's a matter of making sure that we are there on their worst day. And regardless of what the emergency is, if it's a law enforcement issue, we're going to be there to support law enforcement, because we want to make sure that the residents are cared for as well. And we know that the law enforcement end of it looks and supports us, the exact same way. So I think that, my experience, over my career, which has been primarily on this northwest side of town, I can tell you that, that's what I enjoy the most. It's the camaraderie. It's the ability to jazz each other, to just have a good time with each other. But know at the end of the day that you have my back and I have yours. Really, that's what it's about, in my opinion.
And you know what? A lot of people can't relate to that level of. I think you really see that in the military. Certainly, that kind of camaraderie, that kind of esprit de corps, that kind of, man, I got your back, I know you got mine kind of thing. So I really appreciate that again, and Randy, so much appreciate the decades and decades of service to the community here, not only Marana but throughout Northwest.
I think for me, from Northwest Fire perspective, I grew up in a law enforcement home. My father, my dad's a retired cop. Brother-in-law's a cop. Grandpa was a cop. And I broke bad and became a firefighter. And
you got smart, man.
I did.
Cops are always jealous of the firefighters, man, because they got the coolest vehicles, man. They got the greatest places to hang out when they're not fighting fires.
I think a lot of it was the 24-hour schedule too.
That's kind of nice too. Yeah, there's a little bit of jealousy with that too.
Yeah, but it's a couple of hours of boredom interrupted by moments of sheer terror. That's what that leads. But you talk about the relationship between police and fire. I think we're different in this community than you'll see in a lot of other communities where there is unhealthy competition.
I agree.
Between police and fire, and I think when you look at the town of Marana, Marana PD and Northwest Fire, Marana PD and Golden Ranch, it's about the relationships, right? It's about the respect for each other. We have the same mission. We just do it differently. The way we achieve it is a little bit different. There's a really healthy respect between the two organizations. And
why do you think that exists here?
Relationships. I would tell you that relationships all day. When early in my fire service career, I was assigned as a paramedic, a tactical paramedic, to the county SWAT team, and went through a period where it was just purely the county's SWAT team, and then morphed into the regional team. And one of my first sergeants is Captain Jimenez, Roberto.
Oh, yeah.
Was one of my first team sergeants. His son now is in our recruit class at Northwest Fire.
Oh, right on.
He's in our academy right now. And so
learning more new stuff today.
Absolutely. So, the folks that are in place today in both organizations, relationships are exceptional. I mean, they are dug in together like an Alabama tick. I mean, they're just good luck extracting them out. They're linked.
Where are you originally from, Brad?
I was born on an Indian reservation up in northern Arizona, but I was raised all over the country, primarily Oklahoma. I claim is my home, despite the fact that I've been here in Arizona for a lot longer than I was in Oklahoma.
Yeah, that saying that you used, it felt like a Midwest
absolutely.
saying.
Yeah. My dad was a federal narcotics agent, so we moved every year.
Oh, right on.
Moved all over the country. Small towns, big cities.
Well, I'll attest and verify the testimony that you guys just gave relative to the relationship that exists. And I know that you see this, Chief Riley and before her, Chief Sharp over at Oro Valley, the relationships that you guys have with them, just phenomenal. And you can put all of those folks together in a great big room, police, fire, regardless of the patches on your sleeves. And it's just it's a great feeling to see that, because I have been in other jurisdictions, and I don't know what maybe it's they're fighting over funds or something. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, there's some families where that relationship is a little bit harsh and not working together. So it's wonderful to work in an area where we do have that.
Competition for resources, I think, has a lot to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Not having your own fire department, quote unquote, having a district like Golden Ranch or Northwest Fire, where our funding comes strictly from property taxes, versus a police department who's receiving their funding from sales tax.
Mm-hmm.
They can't access the property tax, and we can't access the sales tax, so it keeps everybody's lines clean.
Yeah.
And so there is no
There's probably a lot of truth to that, Brad.
100%.
Unfortunately, as sad as that may sound, I think there's probably a lot of truth to that. So, guys, just a couple of more things we talk about here before we wrap things up. But what are some important messages that you'd like to get out to the community, whether it's related to recruitment challenges, or whether fire academies, or kind of where things are at for you guys, as a whole? Any things you want to share with our listeners?
I think, Terry, the one thing that's it's a challenge. Since the COVID days, we don't know how this really affected our society. We have seen a large, I guess, whatever you want to call it, but a recruitment challenge, if you will. It's been difficult. It's been very difficult. We've been very creative. We've been trying to look at different ways to become fully staffed, because it's difficult when you have these budgeted positions and you can't fill them because you can't find those folks.
And in what world did we ever think we would get to the place where we couldn't fill positions for firefighters, for goodness sakes?
It's an interesting dynamic, I will tell you that. We've done some pretty creative things, and I think that one of the things that we've done recently is that we've done a lateral academy where we've taken firefighters that are already trained and brought them over from other agencies, because there are some things occurring in our region where there are some transitions, if you will, of fire departments where they're closing stations. So we're trying to grab those folks and help them to not only keep employment, but most importantly, kind of bolster our numbers as well. I know that Brad's organization, I'm sure he'll talk about it too, they really are very aggressive in their recruit academies, and really going on a regular basis, training these firefighters, as we are as well. So it's been a difficult road. We don't really know why it got to this point. We don't know our society and what has occurred, but it's really happened all over. Mm-hmm. But it's something that we're managing. And
in every realm across the board, people are experiencing every industry, and it is a little bit. In the law enforcement community, we've dealt with this at various stages throughout my 37 years in law enforcement, 35 years in law enforcement, but the last 37 years, ebbs and flows, right? There's times when, man, we got all kinds of people, and we got times, man, we can't find a person. Right. But I don't know that I've ever seen it like this for the fire services. Now, you could speak to that, having been in the last 4+ decades.
Yeah, it's been very interesting, and I've never seen anything like this before. Mm-hmm. It's been truly a challenge. One of the problems that I think that we have, and I think that Brad can really attest to this, is that, you bring people on in the academy and they're halfway through the academy and they say, you know what, this is not really what I wanted to do.
Seeing that a lot in the police. Yeah, seeing that a lot in the police too. Yeah.
But I do think that, we're at least on a better trajectory, if you will. And I think that Brad can speak to his processes as well.
I think post-COVID, where you saw a lot of transient workforces, the ability to move about the cabin and work remote, telework, really hurt us. Yeah. And I think that changes in the pension system, where it used to be in order to get your retirement, you'd have to do 20 years. Now it's 25. Mm-hmm. So the idea that you have to be in the same organization, be in the same community, be in the same location for 25 years isn't that appealing to a lot of folks. It used to be we would strive, we talk about this all the time, work-life balance. Mm-hmm. Folks that we're seeing now are life-work work balance. It's different. And so the more time off that they can get, the happier they are. Folks aren't as inclined today to work overtime.
So
and
true.
So we've
But you
had
guys-
plenty of discussions about changing, altering, not our staffing models, but our schedules. I think that probably not in our career, but certainly in those that are coming behind us, there may be an end to the 24-hour long shifts. You may see that at some point. And so, in
I
our
thought that was kind of like the sacred cow, man. You don't touch that.
it is for those that came in our era.
Yeah.
But the folks that are coming in now, what I would tell you is we're running, have been for almost a decade, 40-hour trucks, 40-hour engines, where folks work 410s and come in during the peak activity hours. And so when we first started that truck about 10 years ago, we couldn't get folks on it. Now it's a competitive testing process.
Wow,
The number of
interesting.
folks that
That's
to be able to
fascinating.
come in, run a bunch of calls, have a good time, and then go home, sleep in their own bed. Be able to eat an uninterrupted meal. Be able to sleep throughout the night without somebody waking them up.
Yeah, those are the things us cops don't think about when we think about how awesome it would be to be a firefighter.
Right.
Right?
And those are career extenders too.
Sure.
So when you get folks over a 20, 25, 30, 40-year career, it's almost a built-in break. Folks can rotate into one of those trucks, take a little bit of a break, and so you're going to see more of that. We talk about that with infill. Instead of adding more 24-hour trucks to existing stations, maybe we just add 40-hour trucks. And so our next budgeting process is occurring right now. We're looking at doing that very thing.
Interesting. Wow, I didn't realize those changes were potentially on the horizon, and some of that's already taken place. So, man, I certainly appreciate the time that you guys have spent with us here today. Really appreciate the leadership that you provided to both of your organizations. And, Randy, your organization, Golden Ranch, has had long, steady, stable leadership for a long time with you there. And again, so much appreciated. Thankful to you for the service that you've provided to our communities. And I want to wish you nothing but the best. And Brad, of course, too, man. I've seen, and I didn't spend a lot of time here in Marana before you became chief, but I just want to say thank you to you, because working with you has been such a pleasure. And watching the things that you have done with your organization, actually took a page out of your book, actually took a book out of your book, The Way of the Shepherd, that you're using with your folks, we're now using with our folks. And it has absolutely been a great tool, instrument to kind of set the foundation of leadership in our organization. So thank you to you guys.
Yeah, I think it's important that, as you know, having looked through Way of the Shepherd, leadership is a lifestyle. It's
Sure.
not something that just you turn on when you need to. It's the way you live. It's about being genuine, sincere, and caring about your members, caring about your community, and your members and your mission and your community. Those underpin every decision that you make organizationally. And if they don't, then there's a leadership issue.
Right.
There's a leadership issue. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yep, you bet. And Randy, any parting words from our soon-to-be retiree, just 59 days away?
Well, all I can say is it's been a wonderful career, and I'm humbled to work with such great people like yourself, with Brad. I mean, I couldn't be prouder of Brad. Seeing the way that he is just developed into such an awesome leader has been really a joy in my career. I can tell you that, one of the things that I started, early on was really that passion, to help people, to train them, to help develop them. And Brad's a great example of someone that really, he was that person that was that sponge, and look at the leadership that he's provided to his community. So it's been a great career. I'm looking forward to kind of a change in the venue, so to speak. And I look forward to the leadership of Tom Brandhuber. He has been essentially appointed as my replacement. He'll take the helm on the 1st of April, and he knows Brad Bradley very well.
That's a bad day to take the helm, man.
I know.
April 1st.
We did that on purpose because I wanted to be able to say, oh, wait a minute, I'm not really retiring, April Fools. But it's going to be good, and I think that both Tom and Brad have very similar leadership styles, and I really believe that continuity is going to continue. And I can tell you that both the town of Marana and the town of Oro Valley, they really have enjoyed fire services that's unique. It's not like this throughout the country. And it's so exciting to be part of this, and I'm just proud that I was able to serve.
Well, Brad, Randy, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend some time with us on this episode. And that will finish our episode of Real Talk with the Town. Until next time. Submit your questions by visiting maranaaz.gov/realtalk, and we'll answer them right here. To receive notifications for new releases, remember to click subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Also, please follow the town on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date on current news and events.